Everything we do is ACA compliant. Commissions for you guys start at 7%. That can be dialed up, but it will affect the monthly premium. Great networks. I'll go into a little bit more detail into that in the coming slides, but we do have a few network options for them. Transparency and flexibility, that's with the rates and plan designs. For plan designs, we can do HSAs, PPOs, HMOs, kind of whatever the group is looking for, as well as they'll have a ton of different options with deductible, co-insurance, benefits like that. So if they do have, if they're coming off a plan that they're comfortable with, we can, look at their renewal and plan designs and kind of quote them something comparable. The cons to the level funded is that it's not a guaranteed issue product. Our fully insured product is guaranteed issue, but as far as level funding, it's, a quote that has to go through underwriting. And then the rates are subject to change if they go through the illustrative rates first. How we underwrite the groups, we do employee applications for the most part. Groups over 20, we can do kind of a GRX style underwriting process where the group can use renewal and summary benefits. There we go. Yeah, so this slide kind of just goes over the networks that I mentioned. Traditional plans, that's just refers to PPOs. You get in and out of network. We have the Cigna OAP, Cigna Local Plus network options, as well as Aetna. So, we have provider searches through the websites for these networks. They can search by hospital, doctor, whatever they need. We can make sure that whatever they're looking for is in network and they get the best benefits there. Advantage plans, this is just referring to HMOs. A lot more cost effective, but obviously no out of network benefits. We have the Cigna and Aetna networks for that as well. Reference-based pricing we also offer. I don't want to dive too deep into the weeds on that today, but it's the most cost effective that we offer. So if cost is a big priority for a group, we can definitely quote a few options there, see if that's a good fit for them. And ancillary, again, we do ancillary. I can be a point of contact for you, but I don't personally quote it or anything. So if any questions today, I'll answer them to the best of my ability. But yeah, I can get you hooked up with our ancillary specialist for Florida, and he'll quote, whatever groups you need. So this is just a few unique things that we do compared to the group market in Florida. The plan designs, I kind of went over that, but they are fully customizable. Participation, this is a huge thing that we get asked about. Participation is not an issue with us. We don't need 50%. We'll need to make up to 50% with valid waivers, but there's, ways to get around participation issues that come up. One big one is carve out. All that means is that, like, if you have a big group and they only want to insure one specific part of the company, they could carve out, by hours or by the management, whatever they're looking for. It's completely ACA compliant and just a way to make things easier on you guys. The policy is 1099 eligible. So whether it's, one or two employees, or if it's a complete group of 1099s, we can work with that. It won't affect the rates. They'll be completely fine being quoted there. Carve-outs, I just went over. Multi-state location groups. So, it can be a completely out-of-state group. It doesn't have to reside in Florida. They can be spread out if it's a remote company. Will not be an issue there. So don't hesitate about that. Refunds, that's a huge benefit to the level funded product. There's a claims account. If any of you are running, your first quote coming up with us, I'll make sure to point that out to you. But it's just essentially an account that pays for the claims. Whatever money is left in that account is subject to be returned to the group. And that's regardless of whether they renew with us or not. Most level funded carriers do kind of hold that bucket and only return it if they're renewing with that carrier. That's not something that we do. So regardless, we hope that they renew, but if not, we'll still give them that money in full. Commission, I went over that with you guys, 7 to 29%. 7 is built in, and we can adjust it up to 29%. That will affect the rates, but whatever you guys are looking for, we can at least start there. No industry exclusions. That's just pointing to like a nonprofit or something like that. We can work with those groups regardless of what industry they're in. And then groups do get free COBRA administration. So we have a TPA allied. They'll work with the group throughout any COBRA questions or issues that they may have. Yeah, so this is the quoting process. So for the level funded, we can do the illustrative rates or the firm rates. They can do firm rates on the front end. What we would need for those are any applications. So if the group is doing IMQs, we'll have a link for them to do them online. We can also accept the competitor apps. So if they've done any through UHC, Aetna, et cetera, we can accept those as well. And then, yeah, like I said earlier, we can also, for 20 plus groups, we can underwrite with the renewal and summary of benefits. So if they have that, we can at least start with that. If they get denied for high risk or whatever the case, afterwards, they can still do the medical questionnaires. So there's no harm in doing it. You can at least try. And then if they're not happy with the rates or want to do the medical questionnaire process, we can do that after the fact. And then for the fully insured product, all we need is a census for the firm rates. That is what this goes over here. For level funded, we would need, underwriting of